Hello everyone, my name's Mike, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the Neewer 4K monitor. Let's jump into it. So on this channel I like to talk a lot about camera gear as well as technology in general, as well as my opinions on the latest technology that's out there. So if you haven't already, please go and subscribe to my channel. That'll really help. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so if you can get me there, that'll be lovely. But let's jump in to some of the main features of this monitor. So as you can see, this is a 7-inch monitor. So a lot of the market, you may have seen these small HD 5-inch monitors, and that is great. But for me, where I've, let's say, got the 50mm lens, that 5-inch screen just isn't quite big enough for me to see everything I need to. So the 7-inch monitor is a great alternative. As you can see, it says 4K on the top. Now what does that mean? Is this a 4K monitor? No, it's not. So what that means is that it can take the signal from your camera, which is typically 4K if you've got a 4K camera, and it will downscale it from the monitor to a 1080p signal. Now what that means is that your camera doesn't have to do any downscaling when connected to this monitor. Now for things like the Panasonic camera, that's really important, because if it has to downscale the image, it also means that you lose out on some of the accuracy of the autofocus, which, as we all know, the Panasonics do struggle with it anyway. So we kind of want to focus the processing power of the camera to the focusing system. Let's talk a little bit about the features of this monitor and its benefits. So right on the top, we've got a few function buttons. So if we just run through it. So right at the top, we've got the on and off button. We've also got the up and down arrows for the menu system, as well as on this side, we've also got the left and right arrow keys so that we can adjust the settings within the menu settings. And then most importantly, and what I use the most, is the function buttons F1 and F2. On the left hand side of the monitor, we've got a couple of really great features. Right at the bottom, we've got the DC input. We've also got the HDMI input. We can also have an HDMI output, so we can output it to another monitor. And another feature that I really love is the fact that it's got a headphone jack. Now why is that important? Well, the reason why a headphone jack could be important to you is, for example, on the Panasonic G80 or G85, it doesn't have an inbuilt headphone jack. So what that means is that I'm recording the audio, but I've got no way of actually listening to the audio to make sure that I'm sounding okay, which can be an issue if you just want to make sure that your levels are correct. So what I like to do is, before I shoot the video, I just obviously connect it up to this monitor. I then plug in my headphones and just talk for a little bit and just make sure that I'm sounding okay. And then that's it. So it's a really, really good feature to have. There are two ways that you can power this monitor. You can power it, like I mentioned, via the DC input, or on the back, we've got an NPF plate, which will take the Sony NPF batteries. As you can see, I've got the small one here, but it will accept all different sizes. And the nice thing as well is, if you don't use NPF batteries, you just normally use the DC input, well, you can actually remove this plate, no issues whatsoever. It's just 4 screws and it just pops off. So it can make your setup a lot lighter. Now let me run through some of the features of this monitor, and I'll explain sort of all the different menu settings and what I love about it. Now, right now we've got the HDMI signal just over here. As you can see, I've got a histogram as well, and I've also got the audio signal on this side. Okay, now we can change the menu settings, and as you can see, we've also got the battery percentage up here. So this is a really nice monitor. Right over here, we've got, like I said, the 2 functions at the top. So we've got F1 and F2, and with these functions, we can set different things. So for function 1, I've got it down as focus assist. So if I just press that, as you can see, I've got focus assist on. And can you see now we've got sort of red lines just on the top here. And then again, if I just turn it off, it turns off the focus assist. And then for my overhead shots, I like to flip the image. So if I've got the monitor upside down, or for example, if I'm doing the selfie mode, you know, I want to see exactly what I'm seeing on screen. And then as you can see, we've also turned that off. Now we can go through the menus, and if we go into the menu, as you can see, we can change lots and lots of different settings, so brightness, contrast, saturation, sharpness. These are the settings that I've left it on, as I found that this gives me the best image out of the monitor. And then on the other side, we can sort of just flick through and change sort of all the different color temperatures. We press menu again, and that goes back to the top, just over here. And then we can flick through and change sort of the aspect ratio, what sort of thing we want to see in the back. You know, you've got lots and lots of different adjustments, which is brilliant. And as you can see, you know, we've got loads of things that we can do with this. So if we scroll down, for example, we can do things like image flip, which is what I've got saved as one of the function buttons. Like I said, we've also got the histogram, which I've got on, false colors. We've also got the zoom function. We've also got anamorphic, focus assist, which is what I've got, peaking colors, so we can change the color of the peaking that we have. Overexposure as well, we can set it as, which is brilliant, and where obviously we want the overexposure setting to be. I think this is a little bit high, but that's sort of where I like to have it. And then as you can see, we've got loads of other different settings as well. So really, really pro feature stuff. And then on the last bit, this is where we can set the F1 function and the F2 function. So as you can see, I've got F1 as focus assist and then F2 as image flip. So this works really, really well for me. Now, in terms of setting it up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the monitor and then I'm going to plug in the camera. Now, there is a reason why I do this. Basically, when we turn on the monitor, if we plug in the camera straight away and then turn on the monitor, what happens is that the processor unit, I find, basically doesn't load up the way it should. So what happens is that the signal then has to be downscaled by the camera rather than the actual monitor itself. So now that we've run through some of the features of this monitor, I'll talk about the ones that I love the most. So the bits that I always have running is the histogram. I've also got the audio levels on the other side. I really love the focus peaking feature. I find this such an important feature for myself because it allows me to make sure that I'm always in focus when I do use manual focus. We've also got the image flip, which I find a really useful feature because whether I'm actually just viewing the monitor and then filming, or whether I'm actually using it as a selfie screen, obviously I want to flip the image when I'm using selfie screen so that, you know, when I'm moving to the left or the right, the image is sort of following me and I've not got this weird sort of like, okay, I'm going to the right, but on the monitor it's going to the left. So luckily this has a built-in image flip. The other feature that I really love is the overexposure feature, and we can set that again, like I showed you, within the menu settings. And those are sort of the main features that I really like about this monitor. Now, we've also got a couple of mounting options. However, I do wish there were a few more. So we've got a mounting option right at the top over here, and we've also got a mounting option right at the bottom here as well. Now, I do wish they had side mounting options, but I'm guessing it was just due to the fact that maybe they couldn't quite cram in another two on the side. But I would have loved to have seen that, as I think depending on where I'm shooting, it would have been a little bit easier for me to have the screw mountings either on this side or on this side. But apart from that, there's not really any other negatives to this monitor. The other thing that I want to mention is LUTs. So this monitor unfortunately doesn't enable LUTs. So if you shoot in a log format or a very flat profile format, you're not going to be able to preset a LUT on this monitor, so you can sort of see what the output could possibly look like. But I wouldn't say that was a huge negative because, again, for the price, well, it's a cheap monitor. So my expectation is, well, it's not going to have that feature there. I mean, for me, it's not too much of a downside, but if you really did want something that you can preload LUTs in, then this probably isn't the monitor for you. The build quality is absolutely fantastic. To me, it feels like an all-metal build. So in terms of durability, I think this is going to work fantastically. I've had mine for probably about 6 months now, and I absolutely love it. I mean, I use it when I record, and I've started using this actually out in the field as well. Because of that bigger screen, I can make sure that everything is in focus, that I can make sure my framing is absolutely spot on. And the nice thing as well is that we can actually use nice safe frames as well. So, you know, if I know that my ratio is going to be slightly different to the standard ratio settings that are normally in the camera, I can actually just make sure, okay, well, you know, I want it in this format. So even though it may be recording in one format, I can actually then go into post and edit it so that it's in the correct format that I like to put my videos out in. Would I recommend this monitor? Yes, I would. I think this is a brilliant monitor. I think for the price, I think it's brilliant. Neewer are coming out with some amazing, affordable equipment. I would definitely say it's the beginner's dream. You know, companies like Neewer are bringing out some really affordable, almost semi-professional gear, so that you're not having to spend an absolute fortune when you want to get into filmmaking or getting into YouTube videos. So if you really did like this monitor, I'll leave a link in the description below. Use the link as it does help me out, I'll be honest. I get a little bit of a kickback from it and it doesn't cost you anything extra. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. See you later, everyone.